pro-life news break. In our top story, we celebrated a victory for life this week in Missouri, where most babies are once again protected from abortion, at least until sometime next year. On Tuesday, the state Supreme Court lifted an injunction that had been blocking enforcement of pro-life laws in the state. Planned Parenthood, the only abortion provider in the state, immediately canceled appointments and is no longer performing the procedure. The state Supreme Court is scheduled to hear Planned Parenthood's challenge to the laws in January 2026, with a ruling expected sometime after that. Missouri was one of the first states to enact laws protecting babies from abortion after the fall of Roe v. Wade in 2022, but last year, Missouri voters approved a ballot amendment that imposed a right to abortion in the state. The amendment, financed by Big Abortion and its advocates, overturned the state ban on abortion, but other pro-life laws enacted over the last 20 years remained on the books, making it difficult for abortion sellers to ply their trade in Missouri. Some of those laws were blocked by a circuit court judge, and it was that ruling that was reversed this week by the Supreme Court. The court proceedings are just one front in the abortion wars in Missouri, where the state legislature has drafted a new constitutional amendment that would repeal last year's amendment and protect most babies from abortion. It should appear on the ballot in 2026. After the Missouri Supreme Court victory, Priests for Life National Director Frank Pavone said pro-life advocates in the state are showing the rest of the nation how to protect life no matter what the obstacles. The pro-life Charlotte Lozier Institute has published a new paper debunking the claim that the abortion pill mifepristone is safer than Tylenol. Lozier released the peer-reviewed article Tuesday in the scientific journal Biotech to analyze the often repeated but dubious claim. The paper concluded there has been no controlled scientific study comparing the safety of abortion drugs to Tylenol, and in fact such a study would be impossible to conduct because the drugs have different functions. One is designed to kill babies in the womb and the other to relieve headaches. The paper also points out that Tylenol-related deaths happen because of misuse of the popular painkiller, while mothers have died after using abortion pills as prescribed, and so too, of course, have their babies. The release of the study was well-timed, as the safety of mifepristone was the subject of a hearing in federal court in Virginia on Monday. In Whole Woman's Health versus FDA, abortion sellers in Virginia, Montana, and Kansas would like to see the drug sold without the health and safety warnings that alert mothers to the possibility of heavy bleeding and infection. U.S. District Judge Robert Ballou, appointed to the bench by abortion extremist Joe Biden, has said he will decide the case as soon as possible. And in a jaw-dropping example of the abortion distortion where chemical abortion is concerned, the Illinois State Senate last week approved a bill that would give the World Health Organization the power to approve drugs for Americans, superseding the authority of the FDA. That way, abortion pills could continue to be prescribed in Illinois even if the FDA one day finds that the drugs are unsafe. That bill also would protect abortionists who lose their licenses in other states. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill Saturday that would lessen the influence of the state's largest cities in determining if a proposed constitutional amendment makes it to the ballot. The bill would cap the number of signatures collected from each of the state's 77 counties, making the process more fair for underpopulated rural counties. The bill was enacted immediately, so if any abortion advocates try to get an amendment on the ballot to impose a right to abortion in the state, they likely will have a harder time collecting the number of signatures required. Oklahoma law protects most babies from abortion. Governor Stitt and Republican lawmakers want it to stay that way. The Arizona Medical Association and 2 abortion sellers have gone to court to have several pro-life laws wiped off the state's books. The laws in question include those that bar abortions based on genetic abnormalities, require informed consent in person at least 24 hours before the procedure, and offer an opportunity to view the ultrasound, and prohibit telehealth visits with an abortionist and the distribution of abortion pills by mail. The lawsuit is continuing fallout from the amendment Arizonans passed last year, imposing a right to abortion in the state constitution. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino announced on Monday that the agency will reopen a probe into the leak of the 2022 Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. The opinion, written by Justice Samuel Alito, was leaked by the news outlet Politico on May 2, 2022, more than a month before it was released. More than 100 Supreme Court employees, but no justices, were interviewed in an internal investigation. No leaker was ever identified. And finally, could Planned Parenthood actually go out of business? That might be too much to hope for, but the signs are everywhere that the nation's #1 abortion seller is struggling, despite receiving $700 million of our tax dollars last year. 4 of the 6 Planned Parenthood abortion businesses in Iowa and 4 in Minnesota will shut down. One of the facilities, slated to close in Ames, Iowa, home to Iowa State University, is the only Planned Parenthood in the state that performs surgical abortions. The CEO of Planned Parenthood North Central States cited possible massive cuts in Medicaid reimbursements that are included in the House version of President Trump's big, beautiful bill. We need to pray and call our senators to ensure the cuts are included in the final bill. But the federal budget is not the only worry for the abortion profiteers of Planned Parenthood. Facing a massive budget deficit in California, Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed a financial maneuver that Planned Parenthood says will cost it $500 million. Governor Newsom is effectively defunding Planned Parenthood in the state of California, said an irate Jody Hicks, CEO of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California. Farther north on the left coast, Washington State Governor Bob Ferguson cut $6.5 million from the state's $15 million abortion access project, which aims to pay for abortions for women who can't afford to abort their children. This is believed to be the only reduction in abortion funding in the state's history. Planned Parenthood also has recently closed facilities in Utah and even in abortion-friendly New York, Illinois, and Michigan. Recent reports have shown that while Planned Parenthood's national organization has plenty of money, it is surprisingly stingy in spreading the wealth to affiliates, instead spending it on bloated executive salaries and going to court to fight every single law designed to protect the unborn and their mothers. Planned Parenthood always seemed too big to fail, but cracks in its armor are definitely showing. That's some of what's making news this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you would like to keep up with our press releases and commentary, go to prolife.press or scan the barcode on your screen. And before I go, I'd like to say something to Michelle Obama, who said on her podcast recently that giving birth is, quote, the least of what women do. For me, and I know I'm not alone, having my 3 children is the best of what I've done. I hope you have a restful weekend and that you remember always that life is the only choice.
Changing our world is not a matter of wishful thinking. We have to participate in the process of making good laws and stopping bad ones. Your voice is needed. At stopabortionnow.org, you can sign up for email alerts that will call you to action when your lawmakers need to be urged to protect the unborn. These alerts make it easy. You will have the number to call and the message to convey. Progress cannot happen without you. Sign up for the action alerts today at stopabortionnow.org, sponsored by Pro-Life Vote.
Every life is a gift. Every heartbeat is a miracle. But right now, the most innocent among us are in danger. Priests for Life is on the front lines, speaking truth, offering healing, and building a world where every child is welcomed and loved. Join us in this sacred mission to end abortion. Stand with life. Stand with Priests for Life. Scan the QR code right now and help save unborn babies today. God bless.
So many companies support abortion, but today you can make sure that with every call you make, you are supporting the unborn. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. They have partnered with Priests for Life and donate a portion of their earnings to our work. We invite you to switch to them at patriotmobile.com/unborn. Keep your number and your phone and get the same coverage you have now, but also get the peace of mind knowing your every call